Nicks and bruises, we are back. Shout out to the chat. Yo, Black is time. I got my guy Josh in the building. What's good, Josh?
Salute Tony, what's going on? Salute to the Knicks and Bruce's family. Salute to the chat. Let's do it, man. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
First off, happy holidays, everyone. Happy holidays, Josh. How was your Christmas?
Happy holidays. My Christmas was good, except for this little bug I'm getting over as of right now. I'm not sure if y'all can hear it, but other than that, it was good. How about yourself, man?
Oh, great, man. Great. Christmas present. Best Christmas present ever, man. Knicks beat the Bucks.
For me,
I'm
that wasn't for
telling
me.
you.
For me, that wasn't the best present. I wasn't the best present, and I'll go into why when we get to it. But yeah,
Yeah, my birthday was the 19th. We
right,
won that game.
right,
The game started on the 18th, but by the time it was over, it was my birthday. We won. It was a
right,
celebration,
yeah,
and I'm still riding the high from a good week. You know what I mean? But yeah, and then we got New Year's coming up. Let's keep this thing going. Keep the
yeah.
festivities going. Couple things I want to talk about. Uh, I guess we could start with the Becky Hammon, you know, um, Perkins comments before the Bucks game. I think it was a couple days right before the Bucks game.
Mhm.
You know, it seemed like they was talking about the Knicks and what they need. Becky Hammon says the Knicks need a guy. I know you agree with the comment, Josh. We're on record saying we need a guy. But Perkins' response with Jalen Brunson as being the guy, she responds, he's too little. Um, what was your thoughts on that whole exchange? We'll start there and then we'll move forward to pre-Bucks game and everything else.
Well, I mean, I do have to amend the record, so I'm going to amend the record. I'm going to basically just kind of add to what my position is on that particular thing. First of all, I just want to get this out the way for everybody. Just because someone says that the Knicks need more of something does not mean that people are not appreciative of what the Knicks have already done, right? I think too often when we have these discussions and we talk about, the Knicks, or, if it's national TV saying it, or if it's anybody in like one of these platforms, right? People think that, you know, the Knicks are not getting credit. And I think those two things can be true at the same time. You can give someone credit, but also at the same time say what they need and what they need to get better. And I think that's the overarching theme for this whole Becky Hammon, Kendrick Perkins conversation. Okay. In regards to the whole thing about the 1A thing, I think Becky Hammon was going someplace as far as height and size in the NBA, and I think she's correct with that overall premise. Now, I'll say that I think Jalen Brunson can be a 1A on a championship team. The roster just has to fit around him in order to do so. And right now, I think Jalen Brunson is our 1A, but as far as championship contender, this team is not a championship contender. And the team needs to improve in certain areas with roster moves, not just with, them getting better over time and all that. The Knicks are beyond that, in my opinion. That can catapult them into a contender with Jalen Brunson being the 1A. So I do think there is a way for that to happen. And, you know, Jalen Brunson deserves credit. He deserves credit. I think he is going to be an all-star this year. It's still going to be a tough race. It's going to be very, very tough because there's 5 other point guards in the Eastern Conference right now, or 4 other point guards in the Eastern Conference that has very similar numbers to Jalen Brunson. And 2 of those teams, or 2 of those point guards, are on teams that have better records, right? So I think that's going to be very tough for him to still get into an all-star game and even all NBA. But there's no doubt in my mind he is all-star caliber, and I think that is important.
Well, speaking of which, we're not gonna segue, but you mentioned the whole All-Star thing. So first thing I want to do is ask you and ask the chat, did you vote today, sir?
Oh, no, I've been voted. I voted a long time ago. I already
Today.
voted.
You vote every day.
I didn't vote every day. No, I
Oh,
voted.
oh,
I
oh.
voted. I voted when voting first opened up.
No, you gotta vote every day, Joshua. You got so so please, as soon as this stream is done,
I can
go
do it
ahead and
now.
cast your
I'll
vote
do it now. I'll do it now while we're on here.
and chat. The same to you guys, man. Go ahead and put your votes out every single day. Some days the votes are worth 3 votes. So you gotta pay attention to those days. Christmas Day was one of those days that the votes were worth 3 votes. So go out there. Let's make Brunson an all-star. Let's make Randall an all-star. I ain't gonna lie, I only vote Knicks. You know what I mean? I gave Embiid a vote, but every other guy in the East is a Knick guy. I don't care. That's what we're supposed to do.
No, no, it's not what we're supposed to do.
That is
No, it's
100
not.
what we're supposed to do.
I
Uh,
100% disagree with that. But I got you. I'm going to vote again for like the same group that I voted for last time. It wasn't all Knicks. I'll go ahead and admit that. But I'll let the cat out the bag. It was Brunson and Randall a part of my all star voting. So
at the very least, it has to be those two.
at the very least, yes.
um, so I think you're saying you don't think there was malice in Becky Hammon's comments. You think
No,
she was it wasn't Knicks for clicks. I mean, I agree with you. I think she was speaking from a genuine place. Um, my problem with the comment, I had no problem with her saying we needed improvement or we needed another guy. But when she said the he too small part, I chuckled. Number one, her being a relatively small guy herself, and overcoming those obstacles, in her playing days. So I just thought it was kind of funny for her to make those comments. And to me, it's nothing new for Jalen Brunson, right? He's been questioned throughout his career. I mean, he's mentioned it countless times. He's constantly had to prove himself from high school to college to the NBA. So for him, I don't even think it even meant anything because he's used to it. You know what I mean? And
right.
and I think he continues to not only prove other people wrong, but prove himself right. With the confidence he has in himself. But what I did love about the exchange was Kendrick Perkins actually speaking up, because it's not the first time he's done it. And he's done it since then. Prior to the Bucks game, he was on the panel with Stephen A. He picked the Knicks to win. No one else did. Kudos to him for standing on his belief, and kudos to the Knicks for pulling it out. So my question is the narrative for the Knicks slowly changing? Um and I say that we haven't been getting like a lot of national coverage, as far as not games, but just people talking about the success of the team. Whether I mean, and everything that has been said is true. We've talked about it ourselves. We hadn't had any statement wins come a week and a half ago, right? All the teams we beat were under 500 teams. All the teams we lost to were the contending teams, and a few of them, mainly the Bucks, mainly the Celtics, have been blowout losses. You know what I mean? All the other, I think, contending teams, we kind of, if we lost, we played them relatively close. Um, but my question is, do you think the narrative is changing, or do you think it won't change until we win? When I say win, I mean win it all.
Okay, so first of all, the first point you said was about something about Knicks for clicks. I don't believe in that. I just never have, and I think that is a fan narrative that they put out there just to go against the media. I've never believed in that. I
What do you
believe that.
what would you what would you how would you define Knicks for clicks? So I could understand when you say you don't believe in it, what you're saying.
I don't believe that the national media is just going out talking about the Knicks whenever there's nothing to talk about in order to draw more people watching. Because that's what Knicks for clicks are. Like if someone clicks on to or tunes into ESPN or Fox Sports or TNT, they're not tuning in just because they're talking about the Knicks. That's Knicks for clicks to me. That's what that is to me, and I don't believe that
When
that's the case.
you say they, are you talking about all viewers? Because when I say Knicks for clicks, it's generating views, and it's from Knick fans. Knick fans are going to go watch anything that is put out there about the Knicks. So when I say Knicks for clicks, I'm not saying it's drawing general NBA fans interest. I'm
Okay.
saying they use negative headlines, negative storylines, negative agendas because they know Knicks fans will not only um tune in, but the response is going to be heavy, and that
So
generates revenue, views, clicks. That's
okay.
what I'm saying. So to
So
me, that's undisputable. So when you say it doesn't exist, that's where I think I disagree. But go ahead and
okay.
explain your viewpoint. I just wanted to
Well,
clarify what I'm saying
okay.
when
No,
I say Knicks for click.
I understand, and we definitely disagree on that point. I just want to be clear. So you think that they're saying stuff about the Knicks just to get the Knicks fan base riled up, essentially? That's basically what you're saying. They're saying it, and I just don't agree. I just don't agree. I don't think that 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 yeah. To me, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, and I don't want to go too far into it. I think I already explained my position well. Um, in regards to the narrative about the Knicks, I think success is subjective, right? You may consider what this Knicks team is doing is largely successful. Around the national media and nationally around the NBA, people won't really care as much as you do, right? Because they didn't have to go through and endure that experience of the last whatever amount of years in which the Knicks have been bad, right? So to you, success is relative to what you've seen, right? I think when it comes to when we talk about the national media and how the narrative is out there, I think ultimately it has to be done when you play nationally televised games and all the playoffs. And I'll give you the perfect reason. I think, Tony, I've explained this to you before. The reason I get so I'm kind of perplexed why Knicks fans don't want to see the team play on ESPN or TNT and anything like that. Because guess what? Come playoff time, that's when the team is going to get seen the most because most of the playoff games are played on national media, right? And that's how teams start to get their respect if they start winning games on national media, right?
I think
And the Knicks have done.
that's true. But what fans? I don't know what fans you're referring to, like that
No,
don't want those games.
yeah, no, okay. I think a lot of fans would say I would rather watch them on MSG and whatever instead of watching them on TNT and ESPN. Every time the Knicks go on ESPN or TNT, something negative is being said. Da da da. I wish they never would be on there. Just be that local. This, and that. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So that's where I'm coming from. I think national media matters in a lot of different arguments, not just about perception, but also for people to get voted on to the All-Star game and all NBA and all that stuff for the media to have those votes, right? And not just them, players around the league who have to tune into national media to watch certain teams that they're not in their local markets. You get what I'm saying? Because
No,
players,
all that's true. I agree 100%.
yeah, but you asked me about the narrative. I think the narrative is changing. The Knicks are much better and they're much more competitive on national TV, and they've won games on national TV over the years, particularly now with this regime. So they are starting to get a little bit more respect. I think ultimately, at the end of the day, though, in order for the narrative to really change, it has to be done in the playoffs. And I'm not saying they have to win a title. I'm not saying they have to win a title, but they have to really basically become a contender consistently and start winning games on the national stage come playoff time.
Fair enough. Do you, so when you're referring to the narrative, I think you're speaking more of a overall narrative. So amongst NBA fans, I was speaking more exclusively with NBA media. But
I think I think I think they go hand in hand. I
I
think they're
think
parallel.
I
I
was
think
I
they're
was
parallel.
gonna say I think
Yeah.
you made a good point because I do feel like a lot of NBA media maybe don't necessarily watch the Knicks either. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Right.
when they do, it is those national televised games, those
Right.
games they gotta work, those games that they gotta um write on and report on.
Right.
Um
Or,
so
or,
so
or, or if not watch, not to say that they don't watch the Knicks at all. They just don't watch them on the same level as us, like watch them every single
day
game.
in and day
It's not like
yeah.
that. It's not like that. And that's
And
for any team. It's not just for the Knicks. It's for any team because you have to cover the game nationally. That's why.
and me personally, I anytime I can watch the Knicks feed from whether it's ESPN, TNT, or even if I'm lucky enough to watch it from the other team's announcer's point of view.
Okay. Right.
I love it. I love it. Actually more so if I'm getting it from the other team's feed as opposed to TNT, ESPN. But I like to get the viewpoints of opposing, people's perspectives, or a non-biased perspective, a neutral perspective. So I relish in that. Hence why I love doing those losers lounges. Shout out to Sim. Shout out to MVK fans.
But Tony, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But again, like people had this idea that the media and the rest of the national landscape is against the Knicks and that they're biased against the Knicks. But like I told you before, fans themselves of any particular team or thing are biased in their own right. It's just in the other direction.
Agreed.
To the opposite end of the spectrum, right? And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think because we have our biases as fans, that anything that anybody else would say that is a deviation to what we want to think and collectively think, we're going to consider a type of a bad narrative or a negative agenda and all that stuff. And I just don't think that's the case with the Knicks, in my opinion. I just really think so.
Some people, I think there's a medium. I think sometimes it is genuine hate. I 100% think that there is genuine hate of the Knicks.
Of course you do.
But I'm not saying everyone is that. So I think sometimes, like the Becky Hammon thing, I don't think she was being malicious. I think it was. I don't even want to say it was blown out of proportion. I think she was telling her truth. You know what I mean? How she feels. I don't think it was. She was. That was in the cutting board floor to talk about. All right, when I say this is gonna. You know what I mean? This is gonna stir fans up and rob people up.
What if Stephen A. Smith would have said the same exact thing?
If Stephen A. would have said it,
yeah,
then I think it would have been a totally different narrative. Number one, he's been on record in saying otherwise of Jalen Brunson. You know what I mean? So for him to come out and change face, I
meant to say, like, let's say you didn't have a history like if everything was even playing field, and Stephen A. Smith did not have that history, and he just came out and said that. Would you feel the same exact way? Is there any way for you to disassociate Stephen A. Smith from what he said about the Knicks in the past to that particular comment? Is there any way for you to disassociate the two?
I no. I think okay. Stephen A. Because I think he is one of those people that knows when I say this, it's gonna do this. Like he studies the algorithms, if you will. You know what I mean? Like he's been in the business. Tony. You don't think he's been in the business long enough to know what is gonna generate more of a stir, more attention than not? I mean, I think that's I think
I think he does, but at the same time, I don't think it stirs up the amount of press or whatever the case may be from a statistic standpoint to say that it's all Knicks for clicks. I think that it's dramatized. I think that it's all a lot of entertainment value and stuff like that. Excuse me, but I don't think that it's done in a way in order to just get up numbers for ESPN. Like they have to say it in order to get numbers. You know what I'm saying? Like to get views. There's no quantitative way to really prove it.
I mean, unless you have the numbers behind it. You know what I mean? To make.
What I'm saying, there is no numbers.
Point. There's 100% numbers. We're not privy to them. But
no. I mean, there's no numbers to talk about that suggest either with it or without it. There's no numbers to suggest that when they talk about the Knicks, the numbers go up. There is no numbers that really go by that. Now, they have overall numbers of people watching and tuning in every day to whatever shows that they have and stuff like that. But there's no numbers directly tied to when an ESPN guy says Knicks and the numbers skyrocket.
I mean, I for you to say there is none, I think that's disingenuous.
No, there is none.
What you should say is we don't know the numbers, but there are numbers and there are a way to calculate them. We're not privy to that information.
Tony, there isn't. Trust me that there isn't. I've spoken with numerous people from media and stats like that. When you calculate ratings, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work if you say something, then the ratings are automatically going to skyrocket. does not work that way. That's not how television works, if that makes sense.
I'm not even necessarily referring directly to television. I'm speaking because all these things are inserted into YouTube as as clips. You know what I mean? So I'm referring to that more than television. But
Okay. Now
believe me,
you're right. You're right with that. You're right with that.
I think the same can be said about television, just because that's what marketing analysts do. That's their job, to study what study algorithms and things of that nature.
Tony, but they don't have whole shows dedicated to talking about the Knicks. It's national media. They talk about a lot of different teams. It's not just the Knicks. They don't have one show focused on the Knicks. That's not what they do. If that was the case, then you could be able to see.
But that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is put it like this. I would almost bet money. I can't prove it, but I would bet money that there's data out there that says if we speak about the Knicks negatively, our numbers go up. And if we speak about the Knicks generally, it's not the same. It's not a balance. I'm not saying they out here saying, all right, let's dedicate
why would
this
you
show
feel that way though? Why would you assume that?
Number one,
it's
just it doesn't even have to be the Knicks. I think you could insert almost anything in the world, and negativity is it draws it attracts people. People want to see it. I mean, I'm gonna put quotes up, but the car crash, they want to watch that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
People want to see. Unfortunately, I think that's just the society that we're in.
So it ain't just the Knicks then.
I mean, no.
Okay.
Not just the Knicks,
Okay.
but I think, but that doesn't mean the Knicks don't fall into that category.
Okay, let's say that they do, but it's not just them. It's not like the ESPN is against it. It has to be the Knicks. They have to talk about negative about the Knicks in order to get the views. It's more than that.
Of course.
There you go.
There's nuance to anything. Like I always say, more than one thing can be true.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think the Knicks narrative is changing. I think more people are speaking up and kind of acknowledging the growth of the team. And when I say the team, I'm not just talking about like where we've been in the past. I'm talking about this team as currently constructed. I'm talking about the Tibbs era, the Leon Rose era. I think people are acknowledging where we are currently. You know what I mean? Not saying that we're contenders and we're mentioned amongst the NBA elite or even the elite of the East, but I feel like they are at least acknowledging that we are that tier right below. You know what I mean? We're creeping right behind those guys. You know what I mean?
I agree with you. I just think that it's very difficult to acknowledge what the Knicks are doing right now without talking about the past. And I think that rings true for a lot of the fan base, right? Because again, success is subjective, right? Other people's version of success is different than our version of success because of what we have seen, right? So I think that's very impossible. I won't say impossible, but it's very hard to discuss the progress that the Knicks are making right now without talking about how it has not worked in the past for different things, right? And I think as far as the narrative and the perception and the reputation of the organization, I think that all that stuff comes into play, right? All that stuff comes into play when you talk about them. So I agree with you. And I just wish people would get over this whole thing about the media and ESPN is against the Knicks. I just don't believe that. I just think the team has done it to, like, whatever reputation the Knicks have done that to themselves, right? They've done that to themselves over the years, and it may or may not take them winning and going above and beyond in order to change that perception. But I just think that this is nothing personal. This is all about business, like you said, and people just being real and calling it what it is. There was a comment I wanted to highlight. I think. Let's see. I can't find it, but I'll go ahead and find it.
You know what it said? Go ahead and look for it. Let me semi appreciation
Blue
to
Wiz.
with his his VKLA for the super chat. Happy
Oh, Tony.
holidays, Tony, and a great great grandson, Josh. Appreciate you, my guy. Happy holidays as well. I hope everybody got everything they wanted for Christmas.
I found it. There's actually two of them.
All right, go ahead.
All right, so Jay Williams says there's an extra level of animosity toward the Knicks. All right, so I'm going to hold that one. And then Kevon Bergen says, it's true, majority of other media enjoy clothing the Knicks because they think it's the cool thing to do. My question is, what is the incentive? What is the incentive for national media and the NBA as a whole to troll the Knicks specifically? What is the incentive? Tony, you mentioned the incentive about just being negative, and that's just period. It's going to generate this, generate that. People are going to tune in more. Which, okay, true.
And
what is the incentive?
I think we engage. I think that's what it is. We respond. Okay. You know what I mean? Okay. And like the fan base is going to respond. You know what I mean? And prior to not saying it's changed, but we didn't. To me, I think this is part of the reason there's so many Knick outlets in general. I know for a fact that
it is a reason.
Part of the reason I started my show. You know what I mean? And then in my show, I acknowledge, you know what I mean, just in the name what we've been through. But part of why I started was because I mean I wanted more of, it may sound crazy, but I wanted more of a unbiased take. You know what I mean? And I know it sounds crazy being a Knicks fan trying to find unbiased take, but I just felt like they didn't want to give any positivity for the Knicks for years. You know what I mean? And I know we've had this argument plenty of times, me and Josh, as far as him saying we didn't deserve it and we were losing and all of that is true. But my thing was, even if we were, I'll give a great example. If the Detroit Pistons tomorrow go out and beat, I mean, at this point, it don't matter who they beat. It's going to be a national covered story because of how bad they've been, this historic losing streak. In my opinion, when the Knicks were in the midst of, you know, obviously we weren't that terrible, but in our worst days, when we did crack a losing streak, you know what I mean, end a 10-game losing streak to a good team, I didn't feel like it was covered the way it should be covered. It was more of this team blew it or this team lost, as opposed to what the Knicks did to actually beat that particular team.
See, now what I'm saying is that feeling you have, that's the fan in you. That's the fan in you where that's coming out. So? I don't think you're coming, because I don't think you're coming from an objective perspective. You're a fan. You're a fan. Every fan's going to say that, or most fans are going to say that. What you just said. In regards to
all right, but in my example, would I have been what? Even if you saying my thought is because I'm a fan, what I'm saying would be absolutely true. That's all I'm saying. How not? If the Detroit Pistons come out and beat whomever tomorrow, do you think they're not gonna get covered because of their win, or you think it's gonna be a straight narrative of how this particular team dropped the ball? Because let me tell you this. Right now, Detroit is playing as bad as they are. But when they get their win, you have to give them the credit for that win, because every team that they play right now is giving their best effort. You know why? Because they don't want to be the team that lost to Detroit. They don't want to be the team that Detroit ended their historic losing streak against.
I agree. I agree with all of that.
So you have to give Detroit credit. That's my point.
So I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I agree with all of that. But the thing is, the reason why that win is going to get talked about, period, overall, is because it snapped the 27 or 28, 29, whatever it is, losing streak. That's there. You can't ignore that. You cannot ignore that.
But I mentioned that. I included that. I included that's more of a reason. My thing is when we were in, again, we weren't that bad, but when we were in those type of positions, the narrative wasn't about, oh, the Knicks finally put it together. The Knicks figured out how to close out a game. The Knicks, it was never that. What it was, oh, the Nets didn't come to play. They must have been, you know what I mean? Like it's a reason why the Nets lost, as opposed to the credit of the Knicks pulling together a win. That's trust me, I studied this for a long time before I even spoke on it. So to me, it's documented.
I mean, I don't know. I just think as fans, we come at it from like this perspective because we're fans. And again, like you said, the reason why you started and most of the podcasts who started all of this stuff is because of that perception, right? And I think it's a double-edged sword. I'll just put it like that. I think two things can be true at the same time. I just don't believe that there's some sort of Nick bias. And my question still hasn't been answered. What is the incentive specifically about the Knicks? What's the like? Why does the national media? What do they have to gain from it just being the Knicks negativity? That's how the fans put it. Like they have to talk about the Knicks negatively. Nobody else, not the same way. Like, what is the incentive for that specifically?
And to me, I've never said nobody else. I feel like
not you. But I'm saying like there's some people in there that say they get treated differently.
I understand the dynamic, but what I'm saying is, as a fan base, we engage. You know what I mean? Like we watch.
You don't think other fan bases engage either? Laker fans?
Not. I believe Laker fans are engaged. 100%. I feel like there's certain fan bases that do. I'm not
Sixer
saying
fans.
I'm not saying exclusively the Knicks, but I know for a fact that we respond. We respond to negativity. We respond to positivity. You know what I mean? Like, but like no matter who's talking about us and what they say, we're gonna find the clip. We're gonna talk about it. You know what I mean? We're gonna respond to it. But that's why. That's why. And I feel like we come out and respond more to negativity.
So let me ask you a question. So, because you're saying we're not the only fan base, right? There's other fan bases as well. I got two examples: the Lakers and Philly, Sixer fans, right? What do you think separates the coverage between those two teams and us? What do you think is the biggest reason for that? The biggest reason for what you describe as disparity in coverage, if there is one. But let's say, to meet you halfway, let's say that there is a disparity in coverage. What do you think that the biggest reason for the disparity in coverage between those two organizations and fan bases and ours?
I mean, the most obvious is the history in winning. I mean,
even in that moment, though, not just the history. Even in that moment,
that's where me and you disagree, because prior to LeBron, the Lakers 10-year stretch and our 10-year stretch, there was literally a difference of about 3 to 5 games.
And during that period, you're telling me the Lakers were not covered negative. They were not covered negatively at all.
No, I didn't say at all.
No, I mean not on the same level as the Knicks.
But there was a huge disparity in the coverage and in the way the coverage was. And I do credit that too. Even during that stretch, the Lakers still had that dominant history of winning. you know what I mean? Like even you know, not in that stretch, in that 10-year stretch, but you know what I mean? Like in the years prior to that, the Lakers have more recent championships. So I'm not disputing as to why, but to me that was just unfairness. But I mean, we've had this discussion numerous times. I want to move on a little bit. I just thought, you know what I mean, it's gonna come up again the more things are said about the Knicks. You know what I mean? When I think things are fair or not fair. And let me be on record. I do agree. I do not think that Becky Hammon was being malicious in what she said. I do not think this was one of those things where she was like, oh, if I say this is gonna blow up. You know what I mean? It did, but I don't think that was the intent. Sometimes I do believe there is intent. Um, there's been reports about the Dejounte Murray and the Knicks having high interest in him. I wanted to ask you, number one, how much do you believe that? And then just your thoughts in Dejounte Murray, and his fit on this team. Let me go on record, in that offseason where we got Jalen Brunson and Murray was traded to the Hawks. I was on record as saying he was one of those guys that I would have liked to see on the Knicks. I also was one of those people who thought his pairing with Brunson was a better fit for me personally than Donovan Mitchell. Um, I'll deep dive into that after your comments. But what's your thoughts on your belief in the interest, and then your thoughts on the interest and the fit?
All right. So in regards to the interest, I absolutely think the Knicks are interested. Um, and I think I've been doing like a lot of this recently. Now, since I've been sick and I've been home, just kind of researching, like kind of looking stuff up and thinking about the type of the type of players the Knicks want to sign or trade for at this very, very moment. Look at the Knicks salary cap structure, right? They have two all-star caliber players. They have two all-star caliber players that are not making max money. In fact, the players that they have, Randall and Brunson, they're outplaying their contract by far. And we have another year, after this year, we have at least one more year of those guys under contract before player options and all that stuff start to come into play. So you got one more year of that, on your books, right? And then I combine that with the fact that a lot of our assets are replaceable. When I say replaceable, I mean like Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes is replaceable because they brought in Dante DiVincenzo. So, so there's that one. Obi, when we had him here a while ago, people was like, oh, I don't want to trade him. I don't trade him. They traded him anyway for 2 second-round picks because Randall was here. He was replaceable, right? Emmanuel Quickly. In my opinion, the Knicks don't have a true replacement for Emmanuel Quickly.
Ooh, I'm glad we're not going to argue.
No, of course not. Of course not. But here's the thing, and this is why I disagree with the organization and disagree with you. We went back and forth on this. They don't prioritize him because they started the season off by giving contracts to people who were coming off their bench that make more money than Emmanuel Quickly. Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo. DiVincenzo's starting now, but now the Knicks are in a position where they have to make a decision on what they want to do with Emmanuel Quickly, and I think it's primarily because they paid Josh Hart all of that money, in my opinion, based on the salary cap structure. So they're not prioritizing him. So that basically what that means is they can see themselves in the future without him. Basically, that's the way I'm looking at it. And then you got Mitchell Robinson.
But let me just they can see themselves with a future without him. I think you got to put an asterisk on that because I don't think that means they are willing to lose him for nothing. I just want to throw that in there. I don't think.
Of course.
I don't.
I mean,
you know what I mean? Like you gotta. If if he's gone, they have to know they have to replace him with something.
I think they will prefer that. I will put you that way. They would prefer not to lose him for anything. I'll put it that way. And then other young player, Mitchell Robinson, who I think out of all of those players that I mentioned, Obi, IQ, Grimes, and I'm gonna throw RJ in there, but that's a separate conversation. I think out of all those players I mentioned, Mitch is the one that they probably prioritize the most, right? Because of the rim protection and stuff like that. But he's gone now. And Isaiah Hartenstein's coming and filling in, right? In regards to RJ Barrett, they were willing to let him go. They were willing to trade him. We already seen that. You know what I'm saying? So I think all that to say this. A lot of people were kind of hesitant for the Knicks to make trades because they wanted to hold on to these young players and everything like that, when the organization is not necessarily prioritizing them. And they have brought in replacements or people to come in and fill their spots, on the roster, right? So I absolutely think the organization is looking to make the move. And as far as Dejounte Murray willing about him being a fit, I think he fits, right? I don't think that's going to vault us into contention, though. And when I say I needed to amend the record earlier in the show, I'm going to say it right here, right now. I don't think there's not one two guard the Knicks can go after right now by keeping the current roster the same. Let's say you keep RJ, you keep RJ. There's no two guard right now that we can get on this team. Donovan Mitchell, Dejounte Murray, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan that can vault us to contention, in my opinion. You muted. You muted.
What about SGA?
No.
What?
No.
Wow, that's
I
my
don't.
guy.
And I'm not. Hold on, Tony. And real quick, I'm not saying it because those players won't help us. I think they will definitely help us. Obviously, help us score.
I know you're talking about the landscape of the league and where does that put us against Boston? Where does that put us against?
Yeah, and specifically because I want size, and I think we need to upgrade the three.
No,
we need to
agree.
upgrade the three instead of the two. But I think it'll be a fit. Yeah, and he's not making max money, so they're probably going to want to bring him in. You know what I mean? And you might as well maximize that time you have Randall and Brunson under. You know what I'm saying? So yes, I think they're interested.
I gotta give you a little bit of pushback. And it may not be pushback. It's because you mentioned how the Knicks prioritize Mitchell Robinson, but if you look at the way they handled the Mitchell Robinson situation, I think it's almost parallel to Quickly. You know what I mean? Because we didn't extend Mitchell Robinson. You know what I mean? We let him. He had an opportunity to leave the Knicks. You know what I mean? Like they kind of waited to the last minute to you know what I mean, to bring him back to make that decision. And so I think at that time I didn't understand it. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, yo, like, do they not value Mitch? You know what I mean? Like, why are they not resign? So to me, I feel like they going into the same situation with Quickly that they did with Mitch Robinson. The difference was, I don't even know if they had. I don't think Mitchell Robinson was a restricted free agent. I think he was unrestricted because
he was a second round pick. I got to take a look at the rules. I forget
yeah,
exactly.
That's why, because he was a second round pick. I think he was unrestricted. So they took more of a risk, if you will, with Mitchell Robinson going into his free agency than they kind of are with Quickly, because regardless of what, like I mean, we know this, the ability to match salaries, no matter what, puts them in a position to stand firm on a number that they don't want to surpass, or if they're unsure of, if they're unsure, they could let the market set the value. You know what I mean? So I feel like priority wise, I think they took more of a risk with Mitchell Robinson.
I disagree, and I think because everything you said was was kind of correct. The one thing you're leaving out is the salary cap. The salary cap. Right now, the Knicks right now, because they signed Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo, they're just underneath the luxury tax. Back then, the Knicks didn't have to work. They didn't have luxury tax issues. So that wasn't a factor that was there preventing the Knicks from doing whatever they decide to do. They signed Mitchell Robinson to a four-year contract, $60 million or whatever whatever it is, and it didn't have any impact on the luxury tax. Now, if they were to extend quickly, it would. There would have been a luxury tax this year if they would have done so.
Well, no, because the contract wouldn't have started. The extension wouldn't have started yet.
Well, they're just under. Well, yeah. Sorry, you're right. So it would kick in next year.
So that's what I mean. That doesn't change. Like that is a factor 100%, and that may be a factor.
They're concerned about next year, though. They're concerned about the luxury tax. It's a part of their
that may be a factor in their decision of not extending him or what they do moving forward. But the fact of the matter that they have to make a decision that doesn't change. You know what I mean? Put it like this: they can still resign him, right? They like the salary cap is not going to restrict them from re-signing him.
No, it's just
gonna. So to me, that's just it's a true fact, but I don't think that that changes anything.
It absolutely does.
I disagree.
Because look
I
at
mean,
look at their if you look up and down their payroll, look up and down their payroll. Why do you think they're strategically at the place where they are right now?
what I'm saying is the salary cap doesn't restrict them from making this decision of saying yes, we want to re-sign you and re-signing him for the money that
But it's a part of it though. But it's a part of it. You can't ignore that. That's
there's
what I'm saying.
ramifications. There's ramifications from it, but it's not like they can't do it. Put it like this: the same way you agree that you think they should have re-signed him already, right?
Yes.
They should have extended him.
Yes.
What's the difference if they do it in the off season?
Because I think if they would have did it, they would have been less reluctant to sign Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo to the contracts that they got.
Who's to say that the quickly extension would have came beforehand?
You said what? Who's to say that the quickly extension would have came beforehand?
They could have still extended quickly after the Josh Hart thing. Right. They could have still extended him after DiVincenzo. They also could have done it beforehand. So
the luxury tax, Tony, you're not thinking about the luxury tax.
But the luxury tax would still have been there. Like if they signed, this is you think the two coincide. You think they chose Josh Hart over Emmanuel Quickly.
Yes, absolutely.
I disagree. I disagree for the simple fact that they can play together. Matter of fact, the numbers say they play best together.
It's not about them playing. I'm talking specifically about the salary cap here. Of course, they can play together. That's what I'm talking about. The salary cap, man. That's what I'm talking about. They chose Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo. They basically said they want to get two players instead of getting one really good player. That's what they chose to do. And the reason why was because it's economically and based on how they play, all that stuff is going to
see. This is
stuff matters.
This is why I just think you're speaking prematurely. I think if we do not sign IQ and we lose them or whatever the case, then I think you can stand on that. But the fact that we still have the opportunity to bring him back, that's where I think you're speaking prematurely. Because
I'm not saying they're not going to bring him back. I don't think you understand.
But if they do, then your argument is null and void, right? Because they didn't choose those two over him. If they're all on the team, that's all. At that very
moment they did. But I'm saying his contract. What I'm saying is if they would have extended him, right? Because there's differences in timing. I think the timing is what I'm trying to say. The timing of it. It's not just whether it happens or not. It's the timing of it and the salary cap ramifications. You said that you think the Knicks prioritize or they the Mitchell Robinson situation was different or whatever the case may be. And I think it was different, but I don't think that they prioritize IQ more than they do Mitch. I don't think that's the case at all because of the salary cap ramifications. And at the same time, there's no redundancy for a shot blocker. Where's the redundancy in that?
No. I'm not saying they prioritize IQ more. I'm saying there was more of a risk of losing Mitchell Robinson when he went into free agency than IQ. So I think the fact that IQ is restricted.
Seriously? Are you saying there was more of a risk to lose Mitchell Robinson in free agency than there is to IQ? Are you serious with that right now? Seriously?
With restricted and unrestricted, 100%.
No,
that's what I'm referring to.
You know why? I'm gonna tell you why though. Look around the league. Think about how many teams have salary cap space and who doesn't. Think about that.
Josh, I'm only referring to restricted free agent and unrestricted free agent.
In order for you to sign a player in unrestricted free agency, what do you have to have?
Say what?
In order for you to sign a player in unrestricted free agency, what do you have to have? Cap space. You have to have cap space.
You gotta have cap space either way.
In a restricted free agent scenario, you don't have to have cap space. You don't have to have cap space. You can make a trade and do it that way.
You can do that either way.
No, the rules are different.
You can't sign a trade unrestricted free agent.
Hold on. Give me 1 second.
You 100% can.
Hold on. My computer's acting up. Hold on. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, you've been froze for a minute. I'm rocking out. D'Angelo Russell was an unrestricted free agent when he got signed and traded.
Give me 1 second. Hold on.
The difference is an unrestricted free agent has to agree more to the basically he's choosing the team.
Do you think more teams wanted Mitchell Robinson or wanted IQ? Let's start there.
Well, IQ was you saying wanted Mitchell Robinson and will want IQ?
Correct.
I'll give IQ a actually I don't know. I think you could go either way. I
Oh,
think
come on,
it
Tony.
could,
Stop it. Oh my goodness.
Wait. Are you which way are you leaning? Because I think you can make
IQ
an argument.
is easy. It's easily IQ. Easily. He's gonna want more money. He's gonna want more money. There's gonna be way more teams for IQ than they want.
So IQ wanting more money is gonna make more teams.
No. That's not what I'm saying. That's a part of the equation. But what I'm saying is more teams want IQ than they wanted Mitch. Come on now. We know that. We at least know that, Tony. Come on now. You can't. Come on.
I think you can make an argument either way.
Oh,
I really do.
Goodness.
I really do.
Crazy.
I really do. The center position is a higher commodity throughout the league. So that
no, it isn't.
That puts its value.
It isn't. The Knicks are one of the few teams in the NBA that worry about rim protection. A lot of other teams don't worry about rim protection because teams want to score. You got to have players to put the ball in the hole. So a lot of teams are not really worried about rim protection as much as Tibbs is. Tibbs is one of the few coaches that worry about that.
I think there's a plethora of teams, and I'm a caveat this with Mitchell Robinson being healthy, but I think there's a plethora of teams that would value Mitchell Robinson on the.
I didn't say he wouldn't be valued. I didn't say he wouldn't be valued.
Or on the open market, whichever way you want to look at it.
Not more than IQ. Not more than Emmanuel Quickly. I just disagree.
Listen,
with that. I 100% disagree with that.
I'm not saying it's definitive. I'm literally saying there could be. I gave IQ the edge, but I don't think it's a large margin just because throughout the league, right? And again, IQ both of these guys are my guys.
Tony, I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go out and then come back in.
Right.
Yeah. I'm gonna go out and come back in.
Copy. Now, let me ask the chat while Josh is gone. And I think it's so unfair. But who do you guys think who you think has more value? And again, we're gonna caveat this with healthy Mitchell Robinson. Who would have been who would have had more teams calling for a trade? IQ or Mitchell Robinson? I feel like as great as IQ is, there's twos and ones, plethoras of them throughout the league. But there's not too many centers that bring what Mitchell Robinson brings. So that alone boosts his value. I see a lot of IQs out there. Sherman says IQ is good every 8 games. Got IQ. Kevin Burton says IQ. Angel Torres says IQ. Now, again, I said IQ, but I think it's close.
No, it ain't, Tony.
Josh, you winning this debate.
Of course,
you winning this debate.
There's no way. But Tony, see, I think that the overall point is you said that the Knicks is basically the same thing as Mitchell Robinson, and it's not. I think there's salary cap implications. I think the timing of it is not the same. It's not the same. I'll put it to you this way: if you
no. What I'm saying,
this is going to drive my point home. If you swap them and you put IQ back then, right? In that particular situation, let's say he had 3-4 years in the league, coming up 6th man of the year, whatever, or runner up.
You're right. I know what you're gonna say, and you're right. We would have lost IQ in that situation.
Yeah.
We would have lost him. But
Yes.
but
Put Mitchell
you know
Robinson
why?
in now.
But you know why we would have lost him? Because he was unrestricted.
No.
That's why we would have lost him.
Okay. Got you. He was unrestricted, right? He was unrestricted. Okay, fine. But if you put Mitchell Robinson now, on this in the current situation where he needs a contract, right? The Knicks are not signing Mitchell Robinson. They're not going to. They will be less likely. They will be less likely to sign him because of the salary cap implications. Even though the contract will be way less.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I think that's that's an unprovable point.
I mean, okay. I mean, sure, but hold on. Let me see something. Sherwin says that I hope there's not an argument in the chat going on about who's better, Dante DiVincenzo or IQ. Come on now, come on, Dante, come on, stop it, y'all, stop it.
And let me just go on record and saying we agree we need IQ on this team.
Yes.
So don't. And again, IQ is my favorite Knick.
Angel Torres, Dante would take IQ spot for less salary. That doesn't mean it's the right move. I mean, the organization may look at Dante DiVincenzo as the replacement for IQ, but that doesn't mean it's the right move. And I always go back to this: ball handling and ability to pull up. Dante can shoot. He can shoot consistently. I'd say he's better than Grimes. He can do what Grimes can do, but better. I would say that. More consistent. No problem. He can't do what IQ can do. He can't do it. Can't do it. I'm sorry.
IQ is getting a bag. So sorry. That don't mean it ain't from us, bro. That doesn't mean it ain't from I feel like. So you don't think there's any value in quickly being restricted at this point?
I think there's value in quickly being restricted, but what I'm saying is because the Knicks are in that situation because of the salary cap, and then here's another part to add to it. Evan Fournier. You know how like me and you were having that conversation about, well, they still confused to keep this his team pick up his team option for next year, this and that. If we don't trade him and do what you just said, that'll put us in the luxury tax. And then will we really be able to sign IQ? Or what we really want to sign, or what they really want to sign IQ and be that high up in the luxury tax with basically the same roster?
But that doesn't. To me, there's the strategy to that. You know what I mean?
There is. Yeah.
So I mean, if they did it, it wouldn't be like, oh, we're doing this because this roster's the finished product and we on our way to a chip. I feel like there's strategy behind that. So
behind doing what?
If they did go into that luxury tax, decide to go into that luxury tax while keeping Evan Fournier to extend that obviously not his usage but his
have his contract on the books.
Yeah, have his contract on the books to have that valued chunk of money to go out. You know what I mean? So to me, if they did it,
and that would be a flawed strategy. That would be flawed. I mean, you know why?
It could work, it could not.
No, Tony, no.
Tell me why. Tell me why. I want to know why.
Okay, because there's more penalty. There's more stricter rules as far as trading when you go into the luxury tax. That's why the Knicks.
Yeah, it would have to be dollar for dollar.
Right, and that's why they're strategically at the place where they're at right now, right? And I think that's why the timing of it, they didn't want to sign IQ, and a part of that is because they signed what's the name, $20 million or freaking Josh Hart, $20 million a season. And Dante DiVincenzo, he gets what, over 12. That's $32 million. Right there.
Listen, there's so much that they could still do. And there's so much that, number one, we never really know what their full game plan is, right? Like they're not gonna publicize it. They're not gonna really talk about it. But to me, there are situations, there are things that they could be in their plans and they're just waiting for it to come to fruition. Like, and
Like
again,
what?
this
Like
is
what? Like what though,
I'm
Tony?
about to give an example.
Okay.
This is
All right.
not a definitive thing. This is
Okay.
just an example. You know what I mean? Some
Okay.
people are gonna agree with me. Some people are gonna hate me because some people just love players and some, you know what I mean? But maybe Josh Hart is in their plans as a starter, starting at the 3,
Oh
down the
my
line,
goodness.
down the
Oh
line.
my God.
All right. Why? Oh my goodness. Maybe they look at RJ as a trading commodity,
I have
and
no
maybe
problem with that.
okay.
I have no problem with that part of it. With that part.
So if that's the case, and they're bringing in, let's just say it happens to be a
A two guard. One of them
a
two guards
two
that we
guard.
spoke about. Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe
Oh,
they look at Hart as a valued replacement for RJ in that starting lineup.
that would be
Maybe
a if that's what they're doing and that's their plan, I get it. You're saying that they have a plan and that's their plan. I just think
I'm
it'd be a
just
horrible one.
I'm just saying that could be the plan, and you can't really say it's horrible unless until you see what the, you know what I mean, like what transpires. Maybe it's hard at the 2, depending on
Oh, even worse.
who the 3 is coming in. I'm just saying. So if by chance, this is just an example, if you have a 3 who's a knockdown 3-point shooter, who brings length, who brings size, or and again, this is just an example. But let's say it's RJ swapped out with
Hart,
no, um
Ingram.
Ingram.
Okay.
And Ingram's at the 3, and now they putting Josh Hart at the 2. So now you got size at the 2, defense at the 2. But that 3-point shooting is coming from the 3 position, and you got size at the 3, and you know what I mean. So something like that. To me, that's not horrible. To me, that's not horrible.
I don't think that would be much. I don't think that would be that much better than what we have now.
I mean that's fair if that's what if you feel. But I'm just saying that's just an example of something
No, no,
that
I'm not
could
saying the
be
Knicks don't have a plan.
in their
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
timeline, in
Yeah,
their,
well,
you know, in their plans.
real quick, salute to Knicks Morning Brew Sports Network. My guys Phil, Jigga, Heck over there. I was on their show
I was tuned
last
in
week.
earlier.
I was on their show last week. Thank y'all for having me on. We did have a phenomenal conversation talking about a lot of the same stuff we're talking about now. So salute to those guys. Definitely go check them out. I'm not saying the Knicks don't have a plan. I think they have a plan, right? I think when a lot of fans get frustrated with what's going on, they'll say that the Knicks don't have a plan, or what's the plan, this and that. I'm not coming from that perspective. I'm just trying to figure out. I'm just trying to figure out for the life of me, how they're going to be able to proceed forward. And if people are throwing options out there that I'm listening to, I'm like, okay, yeah, that can work. That can work. This, and that. But to me, Josh Hart in the starting lineup as a 2 or a 3, to me, is absolutely horrible in my opinion.
You know, it's crazy.
Absolutely horrible.
I'm almost 100% sure, and I'm a salvage for this footage, but I'm pretty sure you're on record as having a problem with Josh getting 20 million to come off the bench. And I asked you directly if he was starting, would that change things, and you said yes.
No.
I'm 100% sure you
No.
said if he was starting, that would change things. But to pay
Okay, you know what?
for a
You're right.
player coming off the bench is
you're right. You're
crazy.
right. But just how can I put this? It's the lesser of two evils. I'll put it to you that way. It's the lesser of two evils. Josh Hart's not worth no damn $20 million. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's where you got to stick with that part, man. Whether it's off the bench, whether it's start, you know what I mean. But to emphasize that, to pay $20 million for Josh Hart to come off the bench, like
I think
just say you don't think he's worth that much.
But I think I was coming from the standpoint of also wanting Emmanuel quickly to get paid as our number one bench guy. I think I was also coming from that standpoint. So everything is context and everything. Who's this guy? Parrish. Bad second because Josh isn't coming across sincere, playing devil's advocate sometimes. It's just that Becky targeted Brunson, not short players. Okay. I mean, I don't know what evidence you have to suggest that she was coming at Brunson specifically, but okay. And I think Tony agrees with me too. So, you know.
I mean, I don't think she was being malicious.
You know, so.
But I also went on. I mean, she was a small guard too, so to me, there was some kind of, you know what I mean, spice to it. Cause she could have left the "he's too small" out. I didn't like that part. To me, that was a shot. He's too small. He too little. He played big, man.
Us Knicks fans, Nick, New Yorkers. I mean, I've been away from New York for a long time, and I think Tony, you upstate. I've been away from New York for a long time. I just feel like we have gotten really soft as a fan base. I mean, I gotta say it. I just really, really, really have to say it. And I understand why, but New York used to be known for fans that were, you know, a little bit more rough around the edges. But we are just so caught up in all the BS. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. And you know what? I think we're scared. You know what, Tony? I'm gonna say this.
Oh, I'm glad you're going there, because this. Go ahead. I know exactly where you're going.
Okay, I think we're scared. I think we are scared. Not scared of winning. Not scared of you know, being successful. I think we are oftentimes afraid to make moves, to bring in players or whatever, not just based off of the previous history of us failing in that regard, but we're afraid of the expectations that come with contention. We really are. We're just afraid of that, because guess what? We get a player that is supposed to make us contend, and then we don't contend. That pushback and that blowback is going to be way worse than if it is now. Right now, the Knicks are not expected to, so we like the team right where it is. Let it shock the world, right? That's how I feel. I think that's exactly the case for a lot of fans, in my opinion. I really do.
I think those fans exist, but I don't think that. I think that's a small portion of the fan base. But you have accused me of that directly, like.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I am not that. Like,
okay.
I would love to contend. I would love to have a team whose expectation is to contend. So that's where I think. I'm not afraid
Tony.
of that.
Hold on. No. You said you would love to have a team to contend. I didn't say, my comment wasn't about the Knicks contending only and that being the only thing. I think every Knicks fan wants to see this team contend and win. Every Knicks fan wants that. I'm talking about the expectations that come with it, that come with a move that you go out and the expectation is for you to contend. That's what I'm talking about, not contending within itself.
But that's. I mean, I would love that. I love that comes with, you know what I mean, the team being great. But expectation to win when it's unrealistic, I feel like is unfair. You know what I mean? Like, as currently constructed, I don't think we should be held to the same standard as a contending team as of yet.
Well, this is about us making a move. Well, this is about us going to make a move so we can put ourselves in and vault ourselves into that. So right now, you're right. That's what I'm talking about, going to make a move to go black.
You saying scared to make the move? I don't think that's
because I think yes, I truly believe that, because we are afraid of the expectations that come with contending.
Yes. I don't know if every move I don't think every move puts us there. So I think one thing I will admit that I'm scared of is making the wrong move. I'm 100% scared of that, and that could be from our history. You know what I mean? That could just be of other teams, watching other teams make.
But like you said, you won't know what the wrong move is. You like you said, you won't know what the wrong move is unless you make it. You can't really make that point until that actually happens, right? Like you said.
I mean, yeah, but the wrong move is worse than not making a move. and when I say that, so again, this is why, me personally, I'm more content with not making a move than making the wrong one. And to me, but I don't have a problem having a conversation. Like even with Donovan Mitchell at the time,
right?
And we're gonna kind of talk about this right now. But even the Donovan Mitchell thing at the time, I felt like was just a bad pairing with Brunson.
Do you feel like it's bad now?
I still feel that way. It's not the
Okay.
greatest pairing. It,
Okay.
it isn't. And I was on record then saying a Dejounte Murray would be a better pairing for me.
Okay.
Um,
So
and and
okay. So
and
Dejounte Murray. Okay.
and, and I mean, I know it's people said it was an impossibility then. To me, I'm just now starting to like understand and realize we are not getting SGA, but SGA was the perfect guy for me to pair with Brunson. So to me, that was my problem with Mitchell. You know what I mean? It wasn't just like, oh, me not valuing Donovan Mitchell or feeling like feeling like that expectation of having him with, to me, two small guards. You talk about Becky Hammon's comment. Now we talk about two small guards.
Yeah, but
You know what I mean?
but see, and that's why I feel like we need to improve the three. No matter who we bring in at the two, we still need to improve the three. And whatever people gonna call me out for this, whatever. RJ just ain't at the three. I'm sorry, he's just not. He's too small. Don't have no pull up game. Shooting started off really hot. That turned out to be a fluke. And defensively, he's average. And what adds on to that is he's small. If you look at Milwaukee and you look at Boston, they're huge at the three spot. They're way bigger than us at the three spot. Look at every team that contended for the last 10 years.
Yeah, you go throughout the league. Like we're undersized at every position. And with Mitchell Robinson hurt, you can literally say every position. Like
no, I don't think we're undersized at the center right now. I don't think we're undersized at the four.
We're 100% not we're 100% undersized at the center position with Mitchell Robinson out. Yes, we are. Well, now we don't have a 7-footer. Period.
Isaiah Hartenstein is what? How tall is he?
I thought he was 6'11", but even if he's 7 foot, you know what I mean. Taj isn't.
Okay, no, you look okay. I'm sorry. So we're not
I'm
talking about the same thing. So you're looking at it as a collective. I'm not in this very moment.
Yeah, I'm talking
What
about.
I'm saying is the lineup. And I'm talking about just the lineup, the start lineup per se. Let's just stay there. It's the starting lineup. The Knicks are undersized at the 3 and the 1. Everywhere else, I feel like, you know what I mean. It's on par league average, but that 3 position, that's the most important one. And we are undersized there, and we got a guy that just doesn't fit there. And for people to saying, "Oh, we need to put RJ back at the 2," I don't think he'll be better there. Only thing that would be different is he'll be bigger. But as far as his skill set, I just don't think RJ is a fit right now for this team. I'm sorry, that's how I feel about that.
I mean, I'm not trying to get into that particular discussion for the simple fact,
I think it matters though, Tony. I think it matters in the conversation.
I'm not gun ho on he has to stay. He's a part of, you know what I mean, like the future. Like if he has to be included or put into a trade moving forward that makes us better, I'm not against that. But the same way I put that comment about Josh Hart at the 2, if RJ was gone, depending on who was in at the 3, I think that fits with RJ too. Moving RJ to the 2 and having a longer, more versatile 3 that could shoot, I think that works as well. And it helps us overall with the size. So I am one of those people that agree with it, but I feel like it has to be put together perfectly. You know what I mean? Like it's not just put RJ at the 2 and anybody at the 3 and then it works. It has to be strategic,
right,
in
right.
who goes there.
And that's why, going back to our original conversation about Murray or Mitchell and all of that, it's the same thing all across the board. Just getting one player in. Particularly, I don't think, to me, I don't think the 2 is at a position of need right now. I think it's mostly the 3. But if you bring in a Donovan Mitchell or Dejounte Murray or DeRozan or Zach LaVine or whatever, and you put them at the 2, I still think we're going to have the same problems contending wise, going up against Milwaukee and Boston and Philly because of the size of the 3. So,
I mean, I agree for the most part. I mean, to me, I kept saying I want a 4-5, You know what I mean? If in a perfect world, a 3-4-5, you know what I mean, hybrid. Because I feel like we need the size, especially now with Mitchell Robinson going out. To me, the center position was our strongest position to start the season. You know what I mean? Like, and now, I mean, you can make an argument that it's really depleted. You know what I mean? Like the margin for error at the center position moving forward is very small, very small. You know what I mean? Like you talk about foul trouble for Hartenstein. You talk about, God forbid, you know what I mean? He got to miss time. We're gonna be in stuck between a rock and a hard place for sure.
Tony, I agree with you about the center thing. I think that goes without saying. I think even if we have Mitchell Robinson, though, I think we still have some of the same issues defensively in the front court. Because I think getting a 6'9" or 6'10" wing type of guy, 6'8", 6'9", 6'10" wing, playing at the 3, allows us to be a little bit more versatile in the front court defensively. Versatile, meaning you got a guy at that 3 that the Knicks can switch more. They don't have to do drop coverage as much. They can just switch. And then that guy doesn't even have to be like an A+ defender. His size alone is a deterrent for the other team's front line and their shooting. I think one of the reasons why the Knicks have been so horrible at defending the 3 at times is because of that. Lack of size. They can't switch, all that kind of stuff. Jeremiah Grant would be that would be a great option. I would love to have Jeremiah Grant on this team. He fits right there perfectly, in my opinion. And he can score, and he can pull up, and he can get his own shot, and he can defend. The 3 to 4, and at times the 5 if they need to switch it at the end of a possession, or you know what I'm saying, something like that. That's where I'm coming from when it comes to like getting that size at that position. And I think whether Mitchell Robinson would have been healthy or not, that would have been our downfall right there because of that position right there.
No, I agree, and I think Jeremy Grant is a very viable solution. You know what I mean? I agree. I'm just saying, because Mitchell Robinson's gone, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't change anything, but it hurts us at that center position where we were strong. You know what I mean? Like to me, I had less worries about that position in general coming into the season, and now moving forward, my concern is a lot higher because the even the pecking order, the next man up order, we didn't really, you know what I mean? Like it's somewhat depleted. Coming into the season, my biggest concern, honestly, was like you're saying, that 3-4 spot. Number one, I want Randall to have the opportunity to get some rest, you know what I mean, from game to game. So that was one of the things, and the fact that overall as a team, other than the center position, we were undersized. So now you're talking about Hart being an undersized backup 4, and everywhere else in the lineup. Like now we're going to be undersized throughout. So now losing Mitchell Robinson, the need for size, I think, increases tremendously. You know what I mean? I agree though. Jeremy would be a great fit. Let me ask you this, because I feel like with this injury with Mitch, now the need for a more reliable security guy, you know what I mean, security blanket steps up. But not only that, Hartenstein is a free agent, and the more like I think his numbers were great even with Mitchell Robinson, right? Like Tibbs has been on record saying, "Yo, it's tough. I gotta find more minutes for him." You know what I mean? But I gotta find, you know what I mean? Like trying to manage the minutes between the two of them. Now he's gonna get the opportunity to play heavy minutes, right? He's gonna have the opportunity to really show what his potential is as a starting center. And I think the potential of us losing him, moving, you know what I mean, coming after this year, or the decision of whether we got to keep him. You know what I mean? Like we didn't really factor. I mean, maybe the Knicks have, But I think as content creators, as Knicks fans, we kind of haven't
Didn't
really.
think about it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like
Right.
he was the backup center. He's playing great. You know what I mean. Like, but his value is going up as as the games go on. His value is going up. You know what I mean. So is he gonna play himself out of our price range? You know what I mean. Moving forward, because I think he's really his value is increasing daily.
Well, no matter what, whether he performed or is playing great basketball right now, better than what we expected, or whether he just kind of played the same kind of way he played even before he came here, I think he was due to get a pay raise. He was going to get a pay raise, right? Because he's only making what, $8 million a year right now. So I think that's going to go up to at least probably the 11, $12 million range for him, at least, at the very least, right? So that was going to happen no matter what. But the other part to that is, and I think you're right about us as content creators not really considering that. But again, now the Knicks really have a tougher decision to make because of the luxury tax.
But that's the
Now,
conversation. That's the conversation I'm trying to
that's
have.
a part of it. That's a part of it. I don't know exactly what the Knicks are going to do. I think they've already put their foot down with Mitch. They're already going to just rock with him. And I think the Knicks are not at a point right now where we need more insurance policies. We either have to have it there or not, because you signed Josh Hart to a $20 million contract to be an insurance policy. Jack of all trades, do this, do that. He can fill in and step in and do that. And you know what I'm saying? That you don't have the money via the salary cap in order to do that stuff. And if you do, you're going to go well into the luxury tax and you're going to be stuck with the team that you have. Right? We don't have.
Question.
Yeah. Well, so my thing is, I think the Knicks are going to stick with Mitch. I think that's what they want to do anyway. I think they value him. I think they see a lot in him. And they got him under contract for another 3 years. So they're going to stick with Mitch and not move him.
I'm not talking about moving Mitch. I'm talking specifically about Hartenstein and his future. You know what I mean? Because
I don't think he comes back. I don't
Okay.
think he comes back. I don't think he comes back. Not because he doesn't want to, because the Knicks really can't afford him, in my opinion.
How replaceable? How easy do you think it is, or will be, to find a guy that duplicates what he brings to this team? Because even a drop off defensively without Mitch when Hartenstein is in the game, and I'm not referring to since starting. I'm talking about like when Mitch was here, the drop off defensively was not too much. You know what I mean? Like he brought a different element defensively, but the numbers said that they weren't far apart. You know what I mean? As far as like effective field goal percentage and things of that nature.
You're not going to find. I mean, remember how I told you that shot blocking, rim protection, like good centers are not like redundant in today's NBA. The Knicks right now are in a position where if Mitchell was healthy, they would have two on their roster at the same time. Both of them capable of starting. Both of them capable of pulling down some rebounds, being a little rim protectors. The Knicks are in a fortunate place to have that right now. So finding a replacement for him is going to be hard. I'm not saying that's not someone out there that can't do it, but more than likely than not, it's more likely, more not likely. Like, I don't know. You get what I'm trying to say. It's a lower chance that they're going to be able to find that player. So, yeah, I mean, that's just where I'm at with that. I don't think if we get other pieces in here, maybe upgrade at that wing, I think it wouldn't matter as much. Personally, for me, I think the Knicks focus too much on rim protection. In my opinion, they focus too much on the defensive aspect instead of focusing on putting the ball in the hole and getting stops when they need. That's just my personal opinion, though. And the reason why, because one of the reasons is because it's hard for them to be redundant at the center spot. It's very difficult. They're very lucky to be redundant at the center spot.
Shout out to Shuttle. He just sent me a article. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but I'll read the title. It says Boston's interest in Kelly Olynyk, and then obstacles to the next the Dejounte Murray trade. I know one of the things that people have been talking about as far as the obstacle is the Clutch Sports. He's a Clutch Sports client. I did read something. I don't know if it's in this article or not, but I did read something where Rich Paul reportedly said if Murray was interested in the Knicks that he wouldn't, you know what I mean, he wouldn't restrict it, block it, or anything of that nature. And to me, that is what you're supposed to do as an agent. Um, but I did want to mention that Kelly Olynyk thing because he's been a guy that has come up as far as like potential um centers to add to this roster. Um, I'll tell you one thing, man. I don't want him on Boston. They do like that would really like solidify them even more in the sense of him as a backup role, you know what I mean, or even a third center option. Um, that would hurt. But what's your thoughts on Olynyk to New York? Um, Andre Drummond potentially to New York. He's another guy whose name has come up. Or any other center guys that you may have on your radar as far as like, because to me personally, I don't think Sims is ready. I don't think Sims is ready, and I'm not comfortable. I think Sims and Taj at this point are best suited as the third option at the center position than as the true backup. And to me, that just puts more strain, more responsibility on Hartenstein to stay out of foul trouble. You know what I mean? Like it's just putting more of a reliance on him. So what's your thoughts on the center position? Those guys I mentioned. Any thoughts on anybody? Um, anybody that you think could help us at that position?
So I agree with you on Sims. I don't think he's ready either. I'm not going to be as harsh as Jarrell. He said Jericho Sims is straight up trash, garbage. So
Wait,
I'm not gonna go
wait,
there with it.
is he in the chat or you just quoting him?
No, I'm just quoting him. He's not in the chat, but this is what he
Okay.
said. I watched. I guess it was Queen's Court, Dope Soul, one of those, and he just was like, "Yo, we got to be honest. Jericho Sims is trash, right?" So I'm not gonna go there, but I do agree he's not ready. Who else you said? Taj Gibson. I don't think Taj Gibson is a 5. I think Taj Gibson plays 5 because he's with Tibbs. Tibbs trusts him, know what he needs to do. That kind of thing, right? So he's not a 5, right? And he's a little older. I do like the addition with him though. I think he brings that front court presence. I still like his ability to set screens. I like his pick and pop ability. I like his ability to defend the pick and roll, which I think is really good, which I think he does at a really high level still at his age, right? So I like that, but he's not a 5. Kelly
And I
Olynyk.
agree because we were asking for. I mean, me and Sim were having that discussion about bring Taj back just to spell Randall a couple minutes throughout the game.
Right.
So I agree with. So I agree with you.
And the funny part about that is, if Mitchell Robinson would have never got hurt, I think the Knicks roster would have been a lot more balanced because you could put Taj Gibson at the backup 4.
Yes.
It would have worked out. It would have worked itself out, but that's not the case. Kelly Olynyk, I like the fact that he can shoot the basketball, but he's not a Tibbs type of center. Not a rim protector, not going to play defense or whatever. He's just a guy out on the floor to spread the floor. So I don't think that's going to happen because I don't think it's going to be a fit with what Tibbs is trying to do defensively.
I think his on-ball defense as a big is good. I like he's not necessarily a rim protector though, so I agree with that.
Right.
Caveat.
Yeah. So that's the reason why the Knicks are not going to go for it. It just doesn't make sense in my opinion. And then Drummond, I think Drummond is the best. It's the best case. Rim protector, can rebound, can still put the ball in the hole a little bit. Basically give you the same thing, a lot of the same similar skill sets that Mitch and Isaiah Hartenstein can be able to give you, right? So I think out of all those options that you said, Drummond will probably be the best bet. And he's not making that much money either, right? I'm assuming. Let me take a look at his contract.
Yeah, I think he's on a vet minimum.
Oh yeah, easy day. I do that all day long.
Vet minimum. Yeah. That's one thing I think me and Sim talked about. Potential. DeRozan and Drummond. If we could scoop both of those guys up at a relatively decent price, I think that would really solidify us. Excuse me, this year at the very least. You know what I mean? I don't know if it automatically puts us in that contender team, but it makes us a lot deeper and a bigger threat. Any other guys though? Any other centers you think that are really out there like that? That's part of what I was saying with Mitch Robinson. I feel like because there's not too many guys, you know what I mean. It boosts the value individually. It's like the housing market. When there's not that many houses on the market, you know what I mean. The
Low
the
inventory.
value, the value goes up. You know what I mean. Supply and demand. There you go.
I mean, I just think the Knicks we value too much rim protection, in my opinion. I just think we value it too much. Or we value, I won't say too much. I think we value it a lot more than other teams. Other teams do. As far as other centers, I mean, I really don't really know. Um, I really don't know anybody else that really fits that Tibbs type of mindset. As far as rim protection, so I don't really know who else would fit. I mean, there's some other guys out there who can be really good offensively. That can shoot the three and all that stuff, but yeah, I just don't really see the fit or anybody else that really fits that rim protection mindset that Tibbs likes.
Shout out to Hector. He says Taco 4. I think that's just another project. I think that he'll put him right in the same category as a Sims or you know what I mean. Like so, I don't know if he's
What about
a true.
Boban? Boban Marjanovic.
Oh, the he passes it. He passes it. He passes it.
Yeah, him.
Um, I mean he would be an insurance policy. You know what I mean. But again, we need a true with Sims. I'm sorry, with Hartenstein moving up, we need somebody to fill his void. You know what I mean? I don't think we could rock with multiple guys that I mean if that's what we gotta do, we gotta do it. But I think we need a more solidified backup center. You know what I mean? Like to really um spell Hartenstein the minutes, especially going off of we know how Tibbs rocks with people. It was another comment I wanted to throw out there. I see you highlighted one. You could throw that. Oh, you got it up. It says we don't have to use him to wait. We don't use him right anyway. We got him starting, and before that, he was the third string, 4 minutes a
Talking about
game.
Jericho Sims. Talking about
Uh,
Jericho Sims.
um, how should we be using him? I think we used him very similarly to the way we used Mitchell Robinson, especially first year, second year Mitchell Robinson, as far as the way we use Sims.
Mitchell Robinson was a starter. Mitchell
No,
Robinson was a starter back then.
no. I'm not saying when Mitchell
Oh, you talking
Robinson
about
has been out,
use him on the floor.
and when
Oh,
Mitchell
okay.
Robinson was out, we started Sims. So like I'm
No,
saying
but
that.
Mitchell Robinson. No, but I'm saying Mitchell. I think what he's saying is, in regards to usage, like how we use him is like time on the floor. I think that's
Oh,
what he was talking
okay,
about.
okay, oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
yeah,
That's what he was talking about.
yeah,
But
yeah,
see,
yeah.
but I have no problem with the way the Knicks use him because right now I'm at the point at this very moment with the team, the Knicks are closer to contention than people realize. I think this whole thing about developing young players, of course, we want to do that, and I think we have. Developing young players and wanting to see them grow, giving them minutes. Capella costs too much; he's too expensive. Not
I
doing
was
it.
just.
Um. But I think right now a lot of fans have this notion about these young players, and the reason why some fans want to keep them is because they think we're still in the development phase. I think a team is always going to continue to develop players, but right now, the Knicks' focus should be going after players that can help you contend. So this whole idea about developing young players and just putting them in the starting lineup to get them a tryout and so they can get better, I don't think that is where the Knicks are right now. I think they're beyond that. I think they're
Mhm.
and in the next phase of that. You know what I'm saying? And that just goes into a lot of other stuff we're talking about, but I just want to put that out there in regards to playing time and developing and all that stuff. Also, IQ's minutes went down. I'm not sure if you realize that. IQ's minutes went down. Grimes' minutes went down. All these young players that we're talking
Yeah.
about, their minutes went down.
Should we even have that discussion? Um, yeah, to me, something has to give at some point. at some point something has to give with IQ and the minutes. The numbers, I think they speak for themselves. I guess on any given night, if somebody is shooting better or having a better night than IQ, is justifiable to, what I mean, to for him not to be in that closing lineup. But
Mhm.
for the most part, IQ needs to be in that closing lineup, and I think he's there more times than not.
Hold on, hold on.
Um, but I think he's averaging what 22 to 24 minutes. I think it's 24 minutes a game. That needs to go up to at least 27 minutes. But it's a tough situation. Grimes minutes is down a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I think Grimes might be the one affected the most as far as the minute. And then DiVincenzo, I mean, he's lighting it up from three on I think a relatively decent volume. But I think those are the two right there. Like, if DiVincenzo's hot, it's gonna be tough to make that decision. But I think IQ, where he solidifies himself amongst our guards, our young guards in particular, is defensively. You know what I mean? Like, he's a legit two-way player. You know what I mean? And I guess his only knock is, can he guard up? You know what I mean? You're kind of restricted to having him guard ones and twos. I think the same can be said with DiVincenzo. I think Grimes, you've seen Tibbs have no problem allowing him to guard threes, sometimes fours. And then Josh Hart, same thing. He could guard threes and fours. You know what I mean? So I think that's where, at some point, hopefully this year, I think we got to consolidate some of these guys and like you said, bring in a taller three,
And
four.
this comment from Ernst, he said, "What's the point of giving big minutes if you're not producing? If somebody's just playing better, they should get the minutes." That's not in question here. That's obvious. My whole point of bringing that up, a lot of these young players, is a lot of fans want to keep these young players around so that they can get minutes to eventually produce down the road. And what I'm saying is, I don't think the team looks at it that way. I don't think the team looks at it that way, because if so, these young players' minutes will be going up, right? And right now they have other players in there that are better than them, that are veterans, that have been around for a bit, right? So they don't prioritize and value the young players as much as we do. I think they see the same way I do, as far as getting to that next step and closer to contention as possible. And then Jay Williams, he said, you have to get to the Eastern Conference Finals before you think about contending. Don't skip steps. That type of success right there is not linear. That's not the normal track for people to get to the finals and to win a championship. Tony, this is one of the examples I told you about people being scared. Like, they're not ready yet. They're not ready for the Knicks to actually take a jump into contention. This comment,
See,
like,
but I
defines that,
think he's
in my
right.
opinion.
I think he's right to
No.
an extent. I don't think it has to be Eastern Conference Finals, but I do think there is levels to success, at least historically. You know what I mean? Like, you get to a stage, and a certain team has your number. You have to figure out how to get over the hump of beating this team. Like, historically, that's how it has been.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's how I remember it growing up. You know what I mean? Like you
I
gotta
mean, if
you
you're
gotta
talking about Jordan getting past Isaiah, cool. I
I'm,
mean, but that was 30
but
years ago. You know what
I
I'm
mean,
saying?
but I think that's what has been everywhere. Like sometimes you don't figure out how to get over that hump. Sometimes a DeRozan doesn't figure out how to beat a LeBron. You know what I mean? But
And he
LeBron
never did.
but that's what I'm saying. Sometimes it never happens. LeBron figured out how to beat the Celtics, though. You know what I
LeBron
mean? Like,
figured out how to beat the Celtics.
yeah,
Oh, you're talking about, okay, yeah,
the
I know what
big
you're talking
three.
about.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that,
yeah.
but that's what I'm saying. Historically, it has been steps. It may not be specifically Eastern Conference Finals, and then now you got to get over that hump. But there's always humps. You know what I mean? In the success of teams, like you don't just construct a team and then the path is there to the championship. Even in more recent history, teams are constructed and they don't even win. They don't win it on in that first year. You know
Right.
what I mean? The Heat didn't do it. The LeBron Lakers didn't do it. Like there's steps that you gotta
Okay,
go
I'll
through.
put it this way. Okay, I'll put it this way. You're right. I think the biggest thing preventing the Knicks from getting past that step or taking the next step is themselves. It's themselves. It ain't another team that's standing in the way that they can't beat. It ain't that. It ain't the fact that they get to a round and they can't get past a certain round or whatever. No, I don't think it's that. I think it's them because of the roster. Because of the roster. That's how I feel. And this is what I'm saying. Because the whole thing about contending, I think the Knicks need to make a move to contend. So he's like, well, we need to get to the Eastern Conference Finals before you even think about contending. Don't skip steps. That tells me you don't want to make the move because you don't want to contend. You don't want to even try it. You don't even want to try. That's what I'm saying. That's how I look at it.
I think that's unfair to him. That's all I was saying.
I think that's unfair to him. He the one that said it.
But I don't think that's. I think you're perceiving it different than what he's saying. And I'm only saying that because again, you've made that same comment directly to me, and you know what I mean. So and I'm like, that's not what I'm saying. You know what I mean. So I think you're just perceiving his comment wrong, if that makes sense. And I think he did. He said, yes, Tony, it's not necessarily literally. You know what I mean? So I think you're taking it as a literal comment as Eastern Conference Finals, where it's just saying there's steps that you got to make to progress into that team. Like
all that stuff goes without saying, though, Tony. All that stuff goes without saying. We know this. We know that already.
But look even a Boston, right? A team that's kind of been there for how many years in a row under that Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown era. You know what I mean? And I'm sure if I was a Celtics fan and I had like fans don't want to hear that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, they gotta build themselves up into that contender. Like, no, every team you want to win now, but looking at it from the outside in, right? Not being a Celtics fan and just looking at what their journey has been from the outside looking in, that's what I see. They had to take these steps to mature. You know what I mean? Like Jason Tatum is now a veteran. You know what I mean? Like some of those years he had to go through the lumps. You know what I mean? He had to go through the learning experiences of losing this way and not closing out this game and how that one game might have cost you the series. Game 2 might have cost you the series of a 7-game series. You know what I mean? If you would have did, you know what I mean? So to me, that it's these learning curves that teams have to go through to become successful and get to those levels. I
think the Knicks are currently in the midst of that right now. I think they're currently in the midst of that right now.
100%.
Right.
And so to me, I think that's kind of what the gentleman was saying.
All I'm saying is it goes without saying. I mean, we already know that already. I'm just saying, I think Knicks fans don't look at it. I think that comment, the way I took it, maybe I took it wrong. I just think that comment suggests that the Knicks are not in a progression. They're not in a progression, or maybe because they're not at the same level of contention as like a Boston or Milwaukee, that they can't get there because they're just not at the level where they need to get there right now. And I think they can, but the only thing preventing them from that is upgrading the roster. And comments like that are normally used when I say that to refute that. The Knicks shouldn't do anything. They should keep everything the same, continue to grow all this. And I'm like, no, they're beyond that. So I get it though. And Shuttlestead Capella makes 20.7 and 22 next year. That only costs you 4 Sims. I'm not paying that for a guy to come off the bench. I'm not paying $20-something million for a center to come off the bench. I'm not doing it.
You are consistent in that thought. I will give you that.
No,
What I'll say is,
not for a center.
what I'll say is, I wouldn't be interested in that particular move either, for the simple fact that, I mean, that would be great if it was expiring, right? We could use them now, 100%. But moving forward, where does that put us next year? Because if we're talking about replacing Hartenstein with Capella moving forward, not this year, but next year, I'm not in agreement with that. If this trade prevents us from keeping Hartenstein next year, you know what I mean? I'm not in agreement with that. And then if it doesn't, where does Capella fit when Mitchell Robinson is back? You know what I mean? Does that put him as a third stringer? Are we moving on from Mitch? You know what I mean? So to
Tony,
me,
I got a question for
I
you.
wouldn't
I got
do
a
it.
question for you. You said if the trade prevents us, I got to keep going back to that. When you say prevent us, because every time I bring up a trade that I would like to make, or am critical of a move that the Knicks made because of the salary cap, you always say that they're able to do it. They still can. They still can. They still can. So in your mind, what would prevent something like that from happening? Like what would prevent it? And when would you even know?
What would prevent it?
Yeah.
If we brought Capella in for Fournier, if we traded Capella for Fournier, does that mean next year, Capella's our backup center, Mitch is our starting center, and we're not even contemplating whether we're bringing back Hartenstein? If that's the scenario, then I'm not with that. If we
Okay.
could keep Hartenstein next year, and Mitch, and hopefully Mitch is healthy moving forward, and we could get Hartenstein at a reasonable price, obviously under 20, you know what I mean? Under 20 million. You know what I mean? Like, or even if it was a choice between 20 million for Capella or 20 million for Hartenstein, I would be inclined to give that money to Hartenstein. That's what I'm saying. So if making that trade automatically puts Hartenstein off the table moving forward, then I'm not with that. That's what I'm saying. Does that make more sense? Or does
Um.
that answer your question? Because I'm
Nah, you used the word prevent as if there was something that was literally preventing it, but I think that's mostly just strategy and decision making from the organization. I think that's what you're referring to instead of like something being out there to prevent it, like a money situation.
That would be it, because I don't think we have yeah, there's no bird rights for him. He's not a restricted free. You know what I mean? So if we have Capella on our books for 20 million, I think that lessens the chance that we even negotiate with Hartenstein.
You see what you just said? That's what I was talking about earlier in regards to quickly and all of that stuff and the salary cap and everything like that. That's exactly what I was talking about. Less likely of a chance, not prevent, because they can still do it, but less likely of a chance because of the salary cap ramifications. That's
No, all that
exactly what I was coming from.
I agree with all that, but the caveat with quickly is the restriction part. You know what I mean? So even if,
Mhm.
you know what I mean, like that makes it a totally different situation, because no matter what, we have the right to match. You know what I mean? Like whether we may end up matching a contract that we don't necessarily, you know what I mean? Like we wouldn't have reached
But hold on,
on our own.
Yeah, but why would we even match though if that's the case? If we have reservations about money and how much money needs to get paid, but why is that not the same thing? Why would we even match then? Or
I'm just
okay, do you agree
the
that would
fact
be
that
we would be less likely to do so?
I'm not saying it's a guarantee that they will match anything, but there may be I could see a situation where IQ gets an offer that the Knicks were not gonna give
Right,
on their own.
right.
But the fact that it's out there and he signed it, I can see them matching it. That's what I'm saying.
And you don't think they're less likely to do so based on salary cap ramification? Less likely.
I mean, yeah, you could say it is less. Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
it's
there you go. That's it. There you go.
yeah.
There you go.
I acknowledge there's a chance that there's a number that they won't go. You know what I mean? That they won't match.
Okay.
That's a possibility too. But but regardless of what the number is, the choice will be there. The decision will be theirs, as opposed to an unrestricted free agent where you all have to be on the same page. You all have to be in agreement. You got to agree on the contract. You got to agree on the you know what I'm saying? Like when he's restricted, you have that opportunity. You might not want to swallow the pill, but you know what I mean. You have the opportunity to still take the pill if you want, or you could be like, nah, you know what I mean. So that's all I'm saying. That changes a lot for me. You know what I mean? Like you may not want that contract, but you may be put in a position where I got to. You know what I mean? I got like look at DeAndre Ayton, right?
Mm-hmm.
All signs said, you know what I mean? We don't want him here. We don't, you know what I mean? We're not trying to pay him. Da, 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 da. He signs that contract, the Suns match immediately because they know it's better to match the salary and then him be an asset, whether for us or to use moving forward, than it
Mm-hmm.
is to just let. So that's the way I'm looking at it. You know what I mean? Like,
I understand. I got you. I'm with you. How much longer
anything
we
else?
gonna be on?
Yeah,
No.
no, I was gonna say we almost spent 2 hours with two of us. That's pretty long, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it's 2 o'clock. Yeah, I appreciate you jumping on with me. Shout out to the chat, man. You guys been rocking out 70 plus people in the chat. Hit that like button on the way out. Um, subscribe if you're not subscribed. I know like 40% of the people that watch just be watching. They ain't hitting that subscribe button. Do that. Um, predictions on tonight's game. I guess we could end with that.
We see the Knicks are on the road. I think they start a 3-game road trip. I think another 3-game. I think we got Indiana, Orlando, and OKC. Right. So these are a lot of those younger teams that a lot of people didn't. People compare the Knicks to because they're young. Because the Knicks are very, very young. Believe it or not, they are. I just think the Knicks are on a different level. They're not at that same sort of rebuilding stage as some of these other organizations. Um, but I think it'll be a good matchup nonetheless. Um, I think we'll pull it out. I know over the years, I know we've been talking about us playing OKC, and you like that's a Knicks win. That's going to be a Knicks win no matter what. And OKC winds up beating us, particularly at
Honestly,
home.
I was kind of hoping you said we lost because a couple of the last shows you said we gonna lose. We
Right,
had to win
right.
it. So you got me a little nervous here, Josh.
Oh yeah. But nah, honestly, I think we'll pull it out, and I think we'll pull it out. I think we're firing off at all cylinders right now. We're riding the high. I think Jalen Brunson wants to make the All-Star team. I think he's going to continue playing well. I think Randall is going to continue playing well. Quiet as kept. Randall's still balling. So really, we just need a third person to be able to step up. I don't think the Pelicans, the Thunder have anybody that can really handle Randall and Brunson. So as long as we get somebody else to step up, I think we'll win the game going out right.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's what you was laughing at too.
Yeah.
Shout out to Kamar. I said the same thing, but you know what, effort, man. I'm rocking with Josh. I'm predicting to win too. I'm with him. It's the Christmas spirit. It's the holiday time. The Knicks haven't been letting me down. They've been really they came through on my birthday. Like I said, came through for Christmas.
Right.
Let's keep this trend going. I agree. I don't think they have an answer for Randall, or Brunson for that matter. But at the very least, SGA could probably go, neutralize Brunson on an offensive standpoint.
Oh, he's a bucket.
And
Ain't no doubt about that.
yeah, and he's not a bad defender either. But
Right.
so I think Randall is the key component for tonight's game. And the supporting cast as well. I do think SGA and Brunson could kind of neutralize each other. But overall, I think we should pull this one out. Shout out to them; they're doing well, but not tonight, man. Hopefully, we get a losers lounge tonight. And yeah, let's end it on that note, man. Appreciate you,
Tony,
Josh.
real quick. Yeah, everybody, make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. Also, I got to point out, My guys over at For the Love of the Game podcast, they're at less than 50 subscribers away from 1,000. So whenever you get a chance, go subscribe, like, and subscribe For the Love of the Game podcast. My guy Worldwide L, OG the Hard Will over there. They do a good job, and I remember when they first started. So please just go ahead and give your support to that channel. Help them get to 1,000, y'all.
That's a fact, man. Get them there
Yes, sir.
tonight.
Yes.
Shout out to Hardwill and the whole team. Shout out to Hardwill. Definitely, he hit me up on Christmas with some happy wishes, and I appreciate that. I'll see y'all soon, man. Hopefully, MBK will be back tonight, and we get this losers lounge back going.
Yes, sir.
Sir. Yeah, that's it, man. Shout out to the chat, man. Your Blackest Time, and we out of here.